But unfortunately for you, we're going right back into story time with no limits. And to close out the marathon, I'm just going to read the ones that I brought up before. And then one final story. This first one's called Battle for the Dead. Okay, I just want to say I love SpongeBob and all the games, and I had a copy of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, but it got ruined due to my baby sisters. I had moved to a new house, and when I got to my room, I found a chest in the closet. I thought to myself that this was left behind. There was a note, and inside was a key. The note said, "Whoever finds this chest must destroy the disc or he'll come for you too." I thought to myself, who's he? So I got the key and opened the chest, and the label was scratched off, and in black Sharpie on the disc it said, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for the Bikini Bottom. I was very excited. It looked like it would work for my PS2, so I booted the game and put my memory card in. It started really weirdly. First off, the title said, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for the Dead. And SpongeBob was weird too. He was cut in half where you could see his brain. I was shocked to see this, but I thought it was just a glitch. God, these people are stupid. But it was no glitch. I pressed start, and there was a save file already. So I started the file. I was scared. There were no robots, just bodies. I was horrified. Gary, Patrick, Sandy, Mrs. Puff, and even Plankton were all dead on the ground. I was crying. SpongeBob said, "Are you happy?" I got a choice of yes and no. I chose no. SpongeBob said, "Are you lying?" It sounded like he was crying. I chose no. He said, "You are lying!" I was crying. "No, SpongeBob, no, I'm not." He said, "Look behind you, AJ." There were two things. How did he know my name? And what was behind me? I turned my head slowly to see a bloodied SpongeBob. He had a knife. He said, "You lied to me!" I grabbed a chainsaw and I sawed the doll in half. Wait, it was a doll? I took the disc out and broke it in half with my bare hands and threw it in the garbage can by the road. I'll never play a SpongeBob game ever again. And we'll go straight from that to a different story. How about Arthur's Nightmare? One day, when I was at my grandpa's house, there was a special episode of Arthur called Arthur's Nightmare. I was really excited about that, so I got the remote, sat down, and watched. It started with the intro, like in normal episodes. Then when Arthur waved to DW, DW grabbed a gun and said, "Go to hell, bitch!" Then DW shot the TV with her gun, and the episode started. That sign won't stop me because I'm armed. That's not in the story. I thought, I really thought that episode was meant to be good. The episode started with Arthur playing video games. Arthur says to the audience, video games. Who doesn't love video games? I do. So every time you see a video game up to this day, you get excited about that. I was really starting to get happy. Then DW came in the door and said, "Arthur, I shot your TV." Arthur screamed and said, "I don't know, maybe this is my first nightmare." The title card appeared. Then, when Arthur was sleeping, he's dreaming of boats and cars for 2 minutes with a lo-fi beat. Huh? Arthur's listening to Chilled Cow? Then when the lo-fi beat record was scratched, Arthur got really scared. His face was purple, his teeth were pointy and sharp, and his eyes were red. I said, "I am really scared." My mom watched it with me. Then, when Arthur killed everyone, Arthur stared at the viewer and said, "I need to kill you." And he did his falcon punch. What? Shit. Arthur's a Captain Falcon main. I knew it. Then the end credits rolled. I started to cry really loudly. Remember, if you see that episode, Arthur will come kill you at 3 a.m. And I have one more just to wrap this up. The final story I'll read tonight, simply titled Fettucine, is a pasta dish made from fettuccine pasta tossed with Parmesan cheese and butter. This is an old and simple recipe. In Italy, it is simply called fettuccine al burro. English, pasta with butter. The Italian restaurateur Alfredo Di Lello doubled the amount of butter used. Alfredo invented his recipe in 1908 in the trattoria run by his mother Angelina in Rome, Piazza Rossa. This made it easier for his pregnant wife Ines to eat. He then in 1914 started selling his variation at his restaurant, Alfredo, in Via della Scrofa in Rome. Alfredo Di Lello's family, since 1950, continued to serve the fettuccine Alfredo in the restaurant Il Vero Alfredo in Piazza Augusto Imperatore in Rome. Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks ate in 1927 at Alfredo alla Scrofa on their honeymoon, and this helped make the restaurant and fettuccine Alfredo popular with tourists. In U.S. cuisine, it may be mixed with other ingredients such as broccoli, parsley, cream, garlic, shrimp, or chicken. Fettuccine Alfredo is named for Alfredo Di Lello, an Italian restaurant owner. He ran a restaurant in Rome in the first half of the 20th century. In 1914, his wife, who was pregnant, was having difficulty eating, so he adapted a meal of pasta and butter, pasta al burro, for her. Later, he put the dish on the menu at his restaurant, the Alfredo alla Scrofa, and called his version Fettuccine Alfredo. Hollywood celebrities Mary Pickford and Douglas Fair... Yes, it is just repeating this shit. When they returned home, they talked often about the dish. This caused the restaurant and the dish to become so popular with American tourists. This needs Spider-Man 2 pizza music? Maybe. In 1943, Di Lello sold the restaurant but kept the right to the name and menu. In 1950, Alfredo Di Lello reopened a new restaurant, Il Vero Alfredo, in Rome, Piazza Augusto Imperatore 30. He worked there until his death in 1959. Il Vero Alfredo is now managed by his nephews, Alfredo and Ines, with the famous gold cutlery, fork and spoon gold, donated in 1927 by two well-known American actors, Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, in gratitude for the hospitality. Fettuccine Alfredo has now become ubiquitous in Italian-style restaurants in the United States and internationally. Although in Italy this dish is not popular at all, as wrongly believed, and it is better known if called fettuccine al burro instead of fettuccine Alfredo. And I will leave you with one final story, and it's called Duke Hunapon. Stop spamming buttholes, what the fuck? The end.